my queen, my queen. Oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel, so strong, even in struggle, yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah. Where would we be without you? You brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama. Yeah. And Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen, she's a queen. You better treat her like a queen. Oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying back to work, 'cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due, but she prevails and stands tall. A champion, a true woman. But nothing compares to all she do. Yeah, the true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah, oh. Where would we be without you? Yeah, you brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, and Jesus too. Oh, she is sophisticated, strong, yeah, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful. Not only that you are educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. You're mine, you're mine, you're my. Treat her like no price could be put on how much she's worth. So valuable, she's the soul of the earth. Yeah. All a part of God's genius plan. Powerful as she can be. Yeah. The man's ATLP. Yeah, yes, sophisticated, strong, simply amazing. She is humble, honest, and helpful. What I like about her is she's educated. She's my ebony. Empowering. Yeah. She's my queen. Sophisticated, strong, simply amazing. She's amazing to me. Humble, honest, if you ever had one. She's educated, she's my queen. She builds me up, she keeps me going. Sophisticated, strong, she's my queen. She's simply amazing. She is, she's my queen.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop R.C. Blakes. R.C. is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Hello. This is R.C. Blakes, and welcome back. Welcome back. Would you do me a favor? Please do me a favor. I need you to like and share this message even now. I know you're saying, well, I haven't heard it. If you've been here and you're part of this community, you already know what it is. I need you to like and share now. Invite some others to come in and to be a part of our conversation for today. When you like the video, I used to ignore it because I didn't understand algorithms. The more people like the video, the more the algorithm picks up on the message and spreads it even farther. And I believe that the content that we produce in our community, I like to call this the International Gathering of Queens. This is where queens come for conversation that only queens would be interested in. And so I need you to share it that it might spread abroad. Now, we have a very good one today, and it kind of bleeds out of what we talked about last time relative to the power of a woman that can walk away. I got so much response from that one and so many, messages. And one dear heart said, well, can you talk a little bit about, can we go a little further into this discussion and talk a little bit about why is it that women feel guilty for walking away, even when she knows that it was or it is the right thing to do? Her heart, there's a part of her heart that often feels guilty for walking away for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes, it's the ideal family that she was trying to produce for her children. Sometimes it was the fantasy of, choosing a man based on potential and not necessarily fruit. And the Bible talks about how, hope deferred makes the heart sick. There are a lot of different reasons, but we're going to get into it a little further. But when it's time to go, it's just time to go, When you've done your part, male or female, man or woman, when you've done your part in a relationship and that person fails to reciprocate respect, that person fails to participate in the development and the maintenance of that relationship, it's just time to go. The Bible talks about the Proverbs 31 woman, how she does her husband good and not evil, and how the Bible also talks about how he would have no need of spoil. In other words, he would have no reason to mess up because his wife would have done her part. Now, when you've done your part and a person, tramples on that like pigs would do pearls, you then have to make a self-love move. And that is sometimes you have to just walk away. You have to put distance. But even when you've done the right thing, you've prayed about it, you've gotten clarity from God, you've gotten counsel, and you know that you really don't have any choice but to walk away. A lot of times women still come out feeling guilty. It's amazing to me how we as men can move on generally. Not all men. A lot of men struggle after relationships, especially if a man really loved a woman. But it's amazing to me how we as men generally can end a relationship to this afternoon and be in a new one by tonight. And I mean, literally move on while women are stuck, trying to process a whole lot of emotions and a whole lot of feelings. So why do women generally feel guilty for breaking up or breaking away or walking away from a man? If you look in Matthew chapter 11 and verse 28, I want you to understand this from the outset. Matthew 11:28, he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. When you're going through one of these seasons where you know this is what you needed to do, your physical safety, your emotional safety, your financial safety, your spiritual safety were all on the line, and you had no choice but to walk away from this, but yet there's a part of you that still feels guilty. You have to remember in that time that God is your only place of rest. You're not going to be able to necessarily make sense of it because it's not coming from a place of logic. It's coming from an emotional place. And God is the only one that's going to be able to help you process that momentary emotion. Now, here's something else that I heard a person say, that there are differences in why do women struggle with guilt after leaving versus men who typically do not struggle. There are differences in attachment styles. Research suggests that men and women tend to have different attachment styles, with men more likely to have avoidant attachment and women more likely to have anxious attachment styles. Now, men with avoidant attachment styles may be more likely to detach emotionally and move on quickly. We as men are big on detaching because we fear anything that brings us remotely close to our emotions. The last thing we want to do as men is to feel. Now, of course, I'm, talking about unenlightened men that have not evolved, men that are not emotionally available or healthy. The last thing we want to do is feel or to love or to admit that we're hurt or we're concerned. So men have avoidant attachment. Now, while women with anxious attachment styles may have a harder time letting go and moving on. Women who have, for instance, experienced abuse in a relationship may feel guilty for breaking up with their partner for several reasons. And I'm going to list some for you now. Number one, blaming themselves. I have a lot, so I really got to move faster than I am. I think I have like 10 that I want to give you today. So you're going to have to write fast. I'm going to have to talk fast. Blaming yourself. You made the move, you pulled the trigger, you made the decision, all of that, but now you sit at home at night and you blame yourself. Women who have experienced trauma, abuse, may blame themselves even for the abuse and believe somewhere in her heart that somehow she caused it. Because, the abuser many times plants these seeds in your soul that I wouldn't have done this if you hadn't done that. If you hadn't talked to me this way, I wouldn't have beat you up. If you hadn't rung my phone 5 times, the police wouldn't have come because I wouldn't have shot up the house. And have you feeling like, you're the blame. So even when you've pulled the trigger, you've made the decision, you've made the move, many times you're still struggling with blaming yourself for something. And as a result, the women many times may feel guilty for leaving that partner, thinking that they could have done something differently to have prevented the drama. Because women take relationships personally and very seriously. And when the relationship falls apart, it feels like a personal failure to the woman. You see, for women, it's my relationship. For men, it's a relationship. I'm in a relationship. When women refer to their relationship, they're typically saying, my relationship. Just something I've observed. Men, we typically, not all of us, but a lot of times we say, I'm in a relationship, signifying what? It's kind of, I guess it's some kind of Freudian thing. Probably signifying that you don't take it personally necessarily. You don't own it. It's a pastime. It's something you're doing in the moment, But a woman, it's always my relationship. I'm working on my relationship. Oh, I just love my relationship. It's because women take it personally from the beginning. And so when it falls apart, It's no small thing for her. She takes it personally, and many times, you know, unjustly, she feels like it's a personal failure. Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 and 14 reads like this: forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Now, this particular verse here is encouraging us to focus on the present and the future rather than dwelling on the past, the negative past, especially obsessively. You know, blaming yourself is what? Living in your past. Blaming yourself for something that's done, you've made the move, and now you're sitting here depressing yourself, blaming yourself, thinking you could have done something differently, is like trying to drive forward looking in the rearview mirror. You're going to wreck. There's a reason the rearview mirror is smaller than the windshield. You're supposed to spend less time looking at what's behind you and more time paying attention to what's in front of you. Now, here's an exercise. Write a letter to yourself, forgiving yourself for any perceived mistakes or shortcomings on your part. Focus on self-compassion and self-love and remind yourself that you are not to blame for any abuse you may have experienced, and self-love was and is your only option. Just sit down and write a letter. You're sitting there and you caught up in the self-blame game. Write a letter. I think you'll find it to be very therapeutic. Number two, why do women feel so guilty after walking away? The fear of judgment. You've made the move, you've made the call, you've pulled the trigger, so to speak, and now you're sitting there in your individuality, in your choice, and now you're afraid of the judgment that may come your way for the choice you've made. Because women may worry about how others will view them for leaving the relationship. Because again, women take it very personally, and a lot of women define themselves by their relationship. And so when you have to walk away from a relationship, many times the lingering impact is that you're wrestling with this fear of judgment. They may fear that others will see them as weak, or that somehow they failed to make the relationship work, especially in toxic religious or toxic Christian circles, where you have leaders that say to you, pray it through, make it work. Like you can make a marriage work, or you can make a relationship work by yourself. As great as Lisa and I are, if either of us gets on another page, come on now, and we don't both show up and work on it, I can't make our marriage work by myself. She couldn't make it work by herself. But a lot of times we're surrounded by self-righteous people who make us feel like we've personally failed. We failed God, we failed the church, we failed the family, we failed the community, we failed the circle, the friendship circle, and all of this kind of stuff, fear of judgment. But listen to what Romans 14:4 says. Who art thou that judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth. Yea, he shall be holden up, for God is able to make him stand. Society puts an unfair burden on the woman many times when a relationship doesn't work. She wasn't able to keep her family together. She wasn't able to keep her man. Well, to be honest with you, ain't nowhere in the Bible where it says a woman is supposed to keep a grown man. No. A woman is supposed to do her part, but a woman can't keep no grown man. A grown man has to be kept by God and himself. And when he does not submit to the auspices of God, and he's not mature enough to keep himself, and he makes moves and decisions that ruptures the woman has to make a self-love move. But who is anyone to judge you when you're God's? You know, I don't have the right to judge any relational decision you make. That's your business. That's your business. Come on now. I stay out of my children's relationships. That's they're grown people. They make decisions. I may agree with them or not, but they're grown. Who am I to judge? I think you should have done this. I think you should have done that. Listen to what Hebrews 13:6 says. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. When you make a decision that you have prayed about and God has steered you and you've gotten wise counsel on, and you know that this is the best decision for you, you can't care what folk think. Honestly, you cannot care what folk think, because folks' judgment will have you sit in there second guessing the decision that was clear and obvious, the only one you could have made, and have you going back into, bondage again. Here's what a friend of mine calls the assertiveness exercise. Assertiveness involves expressing one's needs and opinions in a clear and respectful manner. Practicing assertiveness skills can help to reduce feelings of vulnerability and increase feelings of control and empowerment in social situations. And what he means by this is, when you feel like you're being judged, assert yourself. You don't need to get aggressive, but assert yourself. Assert yourself in that you say, well, this is my life. And this is not a decision I made lightly. After all, I'm the one that's being impacted by this. And kind of put people where they're supposed to be. And that's out of your business, because if you keep giving ear to judgments, you're going to always be confused, and you're going to always have a sense of guilt. You're not going to ever settle in a place where you know that you made the right choice for you. And, number 3, I have 10, so I got to move quickly. Why do women tend to feel guilty or anxious after walking away from a relationship? There's the lingering belief that they can or could have changed their partner. You walk away, but you still have this voice in the back of your mind. You could have changed him. You could have changed him. Women may believe that their partner can change and that they can help that partner change. And as a result, they may feel guilty for giving up on their partner and not giving them a chance to change. But did you not? You really didn't give him a chance to change. You were there for years and nothing changed. And did God really authorize you to change anybody? Can we really change anybody? Can we change ourselves? I mean, quite honestly, I'm sitting here talking to you right now, and in my mind, I want to be 30 or 40 pounds lighter than I am now. I've been wanting this for a minute, and it's not happened. It's possible. It's scientifically possible. I'm physically capable of doing the work. I don't have any illnesses that would prevent me from losing weight, but the reality is I'm not always able to change myself. So what would make me think that I can change another person? You're sitting there right now, and while you're having these thoughts in your mind about how you should have, could have, would have changed him, there are things about you that you don't like, and you've been wanting to change, and you've not been quite able to change, because there are a lot of things about you can't change. So why would you take upon yourself the responsibility of changing someone else when you're not always even capable of changing you? Listen to what Jeremiah 17:9-10 says. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? The Lord searched the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doing. The heart is deceitfully wicked. Who can know it? You don't know what's going on in the internals of a man to change a man. All you know is the fruit he's producing. And if the fruit he's producing is rotten, it's safe to assume that there's probably an issue with the core. Wherever there's bad fruit, there's usually, bad core. And that is not your responsibility. That's his responsibility. And that's something that only he and God can work on. You do not have the power to change anybody. But you're sitting there feeling guilty because your mind is telling you you could have changed him if you stayed there and loved him a little more. Here's an exercise to overcome the impulse to fix people. One exercise that can help, let me read it. One exercise that can help overcome the impulse to fix other people is called the mirror technique. And here are the steps. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed for a few minutes. Next step, close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to center yourself. Next step, imagine that you are standing in front of a full-length mirror. Next step, look at yourself in the mirror and notice any physical sensations or emotions that arise. Next step, now imagine that the person you feel the strongest urge to fix is standing in front of you in the mirror. Notice any physical sensations or emotions that arise as you look at this person. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, I accept this person exactly as they are. Repeat this affirmation a few times, allowing yourself to feel a sense of calm and acceptance. Visualize the person in the mirror, gradually transforming into someone who is happy, healthy, and whole. As you watch this transformation, feel a sense of gratitude and joy for this person's journey. Finally, take a deep breath and open your eyes, feeling grounded and at peace. You got to learn to love and accept people exactly as they are. And sometimes that does involve them not necessarily being in your space, but accepting them for who they are without feeling a need to fix them or to change them. Now, here's the fourth point. Why do women feel guilt and anxiety about walking away? Financial dependence. Women who are financially dependent on their partner may feel guilty for leaving because they worry about how they will support themselves or their children without their partner's financial support. So though you made this move, based on what's good for your mental health, your spiritual health, and maybe even your physical health, once you're you're away from this person, you may feel a sense of anxiety and guilt because now the money situation changes. And so now you feel guilty, especially if you have kids, for putting your kids in a position where you don't have as much money. But what is the greater value? A healthy and whole mother, with less money, or a broken mother with more money? I don't think there's a question about what the answer is. Listen to what Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 17 and 18 says, and thou say in thine heart, my power and the might of mine hand hath gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God. Here it is. For it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant. Man is not your source. God is your source. And while you're sitting there thinking about, man, I probably shouldn't have left. I feel bad about leaving because look at the financial situation I'm in. Man, God has always been your provider. People are just resources. God is the source. And so when you make a move and you know that you're obeying God and you're doing what's best for you, trust your heavenly Father is going to give you the power to get wealth. You will not have a money problem. I prophesy that over your life right now. So make a plan for how you will take care of yourself. Here's how you calm these fears relative to your financial situation. Make a plan for how you will take care of yourself in the future, such as creating a budget, setting goals for personal growth, and making a list of things you can do to build a support network. Focus on the present moment and take things one step at a time. And that's going to calm that sensation that you get when you think about how you walked away from the money and all of that. Man, God is going to he's going to provide everything you need through you. You just got to sit down and write a vision, make a plan, make a budget, eliminate the unnecessary things from your life. Just restructure your life. Come on now. Restructure your life. Number 5, why do women feel guilty and anxious when after they've walked away. Emotional dependence. Women who are emotionally dependent on their partners may feel anxious for leaving because they worry about losing the emotional support they received from their partner, even if it was unhealthy. It may have been unhealthy, but it was what you knew. And so it was, though it was dysfunctional, it was your dysfunctional norm. And there's this sense of grieving, because of the emotional attachment. But, we see the danger of these emotional attachments, this emotional dependence, even in the life of Samson, who was so enamored with Delilah that, he ended up letting that woman kill him. She really killed him, robbed him of his vision, robbed him of his strength, robbed him of his purpose, robbed him of his sight, you know, ultimately robbed him of his life. If you look in Numbers chapter 14, verses 1 through 3, listen to how it reads. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, Would God we had died in the land of Egypt. Egypt is where they were slaves. They were getting ready to go into a land where they would be kings, but they realized they had to fight giants to take over the land. So they said, rather than going and fight to be royalty, I wish we had just died in Egypt as slaves. Or would God we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath the Lord brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? They had such an emotional attachment to slavery. They could not wrap their minds around being free and being royalty. They were so attached to slavery, it terrified them. The thought terrified them of stepping into royalty. They would rather die as slaves than die fighting to be kings. So you got to identify, your own needs. When you think about this emotional dependence, you got to identify your own needs. Consider, this is some intentional thinking you have to do. Consider your own needs and desires apart from the person you are dependent on. What are your values? What are your passions? What are your goals? What is your life all about? Make a list of the things that make you feel happy and fulfilled. You see, when you're in this emotional dependent state, all you're thinking about is them, them, them. But you got to really bring to front and center your needs, your goals, your desires, so forth and so on. But then here's another thing you got to keep in mind. You have to let go gradually. Letting go of emotional dependence is a process that may take time. So you got to fight, while you pull out of that thing, but you're going to have days where you got to just fight with your mind. Allow yourself to grieve the loss of what you thought could have been. Because the loss of what could have been hurts as much as losing something that actually was. But also focus on moving forward and building a more fulfilling life. Now, number 6, why do women tend to feel guilty for walking out? Why do women tend to feel anxious for walking out or walking away? Fear of loneliness. You get out there, you see initially that adrenaline carries you. You out of it. I'm done. And you walk away, and now you're out there, and now things begin to set in on you. And now you're struggling with the idea of loneliness. A woman may feel anxious for leaving a relationship because she fears being alone without her partner. Even if that partner was toxic, it's what she grew accustomed to. Watch this, the woman's broken consciousness keeps her locked in on the ideal idea of the man and not the reality. So she gets caught up in with this fear of loneliness. The loneliness is quite often generated by this toxic nostalgia. All she can remember are the good times, the good days. And she's, somehow her brain shuts out the fact that the police visited the house 4 times last year. She had to hide a black eye for 3 weeks. Toxic nostalgia. Her mind, her broken consciousness only lets her lock in on the ideal or the ideals, the ideal aspects of the relationship, and not the harsh realities of it. Listen to what Deuteronomy 31:6 says. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. We may be alone, but you can't buy into this idea that I'm just going to lose my mind because I'm by myself. The reality is you're never by yourself. God says, I'll always be with you. And this promise applies, to all of us, no matter how alone we may feel. God is always with us and will never abandon us. Joshua 1:9 reads like this: do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Here's the exercise. Take a few minutes each day to reflect on the things in your life that you are grateful for. This can help shift your focus away from negative thoughts and help you appreciate the positive aspects of your life. Visualize positive social interactions. Spend some time visualizing positive social interactions, such as having a conversation with a close friend or spending time with family members. This can help to counteract negative thoughts and feelings of loneliness. Get out the house and go do something, man. You sitting around there, depressed, worrying about you lonely, missing somebody that, should have never even gotten a conversation. Get out the house and go do something. Go meet some people, man. Write down your fears and then challenge each one of your fears. That, fear of loneliness, writing evidence that supports or contradicts when you write down these fears and then you start writing down your reality of what's really going on, where we started, where we at, and you start really looking at it, you start intentionally thinking about what's really happening with your life and how good your life really is. Now you realize that a lot of this fear of loneliness that you've been plagued with has been kind of drummed up somewhere out of thin air, because the reality is you're doing better than ever. You may be by yourself right now, but you're doing better by yourself. You can do great all by yourself. Number 7, why do women feel guilty for walking away? Social pressure. Kind of dealt with this a little bit with the judgment of people, but let's go a little deeper. Social pressure. Women may also feel guilty because of, the pressure that family, friends, society at large puts on her, who may view leaving a relationship as a failure or a sign of feminine weakness. You lost your man, and all of this kind of thing. You got to, by any means necessary, make it work. Man, in the meantime, man sitting here just dogging you out, sleeping around with everybody, could be bringing anything home to you. And they telling you about make it work, and I mean, I get the numbers are real. I'm no mental health professional, so I don't, have access to all of the ins and outs. But it is said that women, um, it is said that women file for divorce at a much higher rate than men. And I think that is the truth. But I would probably believe that men probably create scenarios that require being divorced at a much higher rate than women. I really do believe that. And I've been a man all my life. I'm 100% man. Like I'm 100% man right now. And I know, that we as men, we do things that would give a woman biblical rights as well as legal rights to divorce us. So when you say, well, women file for divorce at a much higher rate than men, you ain't really saying much, because a lot of times bras be deserving those divorces. Now, sometimes not. Sometimes not. Sometimes women just have unrealistic standards, and they cash in great guys for the fantasy. But look what Acts 5:28-29 says, saying, "Did not we straitly command you that you should not teach in this name? And behold, ye have filled Jerusalem," talking about overcoming social pressure. "You have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine." They told the disciples, apostles, "Don't y'all teach in his name Jesus no more. And yet you have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine and intend to bring this man's blood upon us." Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, "We ought to obey God rather than men." You don't let social pressure back you down after you've made a decision for your own emotional, spiritual, physical, so forth and so on well-being. Don't let society pressure you, because society doesn't have to go to your house and sleep behind those walls. Now, to overcome feelings of guilt related to social pressure, it can be helpful to reframe from perspectives and focus from other people's perspectives and focus on your own needs and values rather than external expectations. When you're growing, when you're going through a situation, sometimes the worst thing to do is to ask people what they think or to let people into your business, because now they're able, you invite them to share their opinions and their perspectives, and these perspectives turn into expectations, and now you feel pressured. This might involve identifying and setting boundaries with others who may be pressuring you to stay in the relationship. It can also be helpful to seek support from people who validate your decision and can offer encouragement and understanding. The most important voice you need to know you've heard is that of God. So you have a peace in your spirit about it. Bottom line. Bottom line. Don't let social pressure push you back into Egypt. Don't let social pressure push you back into Egypt. Number 8, why do women feel a sense of guilt after having walked away? There's a sense of obligation. Women may feel guilty because they believe they have an obligation to stay in the relationship, particularly if they have been with their partner for a long time, or if they have children with this man. Because when a woman loves, there are no limits. And women feel a deep sense of covenant obligation to a man. So when a woman typically walks away, she really has no choice. It's moved to a point of a matter of life or death, be it physical death, emotional death, spiritual death, or whatever. She's been pushed to the point of no return. She has no choice. And so even after she's made that decision, that sense of obligation does not leave her. She still feels obligated, because women are caretakers. Wonder if he's eating, wonder if he paid the light bill. He's bad at organizing. And now, though you're not there and you have nothing to do with it anymore, the sense of obligation keeps dragging you back in. And now one practical exercise for overcoming a sense of obligation is to identify and challenge any beliefs or assumptions that may be keeping you stuck in the relationship. You might ask yourself questions like, what are my values and priorities, or what do I want for my future? It can, so you got to always go back to, what do I want? There's a time to love you. What did Jesus say? Love God above all, and then love your neighbor as you love yourself. So you got to love God, then God going to teach you how to love you. And out of your love for you is where you find the power to love others properly. It can also be helpful to focus on self-care and prioritize activities that bring you joy and fulfillment, even if they don't involve your partner. In fact, they shouldn't involve your partner, because you got to lose this sense of obligation. Number 9, self-doubt. Self-doubt. Women may also experience guilt due to doubting, herself, or doubting themselves, and negative beliefs about themselves, such as feeling unworthy of love or believing that they are responsible for the problems that were in the relationship. So you out here and you doubting, can I do it? Am I enough? Is anybody else going to want me? Before you start asking yourself questions like that, you got to first deal with the idea that you got to love yourself enough. Come on now. You can't be like Israel was when they got to the promised land and they sent those spies over there to check out the promised land. And the spies come back, 10 of them come back talking about they're giants over there, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. When you doubt yourself, you project your self-doubt upon the world. So the way you see yourself internally is the way you view the world looking back at you. And a lot of times when a woman has walked out, because she's not dealt with that empty self-esteem, that self-doubt gets the best of her. And she feels anxious because she doubts if she can exist as an individual. She doubts if she can pay bills, though she may have been the primary breadwinner in the situation in the beginning. She doubts if she can raise children. She doubts all of these things. And a lot of times these women find themselves going right back into these situations because they doubted themselves. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. I'm not, my confidence is in the Father. And when you start having this self-doubt, doubting yourself, write a list of reasons why you made the decision to leave your partner. And then read them aloud to yourself whenever you start to doubt your decision. Surround yourself with supportive friends and family who can remind you of your strength and support your decision. Make a list of the reasons why you left. Put it on the mirror so you can remind your soul of that every day. And then number 10, and finally, is, I don't know. I think number 10 might be, we had emotional dependence. Well, let me finish it with this here. Number 10, emotional attachment. Emotional attachment. Women may feel guilty for leaving a relationship because they are emotionally attached to their partner and may worry about how their leaving hurt the individual or how it may cause them pain. Though you made the move because the person was hurting you and they left you no choice, now you're sitting there because you're still emotionally attached. You're sitting there feeling bad about them feeling bad because you had to make a move to protect and preserve yourself. Because it's important for women to understand that leaving an abusive relationship is not something to feel guilty about.
Amid the quiet of the night, I sense the weight of worries taking flight. But darling, listen close and hear my plea. In this melody I ask, darling, don't you wait for me. In the shadows where fears reside, I find solace in the love you provide. With every step you ease my pain. In your embrace I found shelter from the rain. Darling, don't cry, don't shed a tear, for I'll be your fortress, I'll always be near. Though storms may rage and oceans may roar, I'll stand by your side.
Women deserve to be in a safe and healthy relationship, and leaving an abusive partner is an act of self-care and self-love. Women who have experienced abuse and trauma should seek support from friends, family, and even professionals. And you got to begin to break this soul tie, this emotional attachment. You got to begin to break that off of your mind. Now, one practical exercise, and I'm done, to overcome attachment is to practice healthy boundaries and self-care. And this might involve setting limits on how much time you spend with that individual, your partner. You know, you got to drop the kids off, figure out how that's going to happen as quickly as possible. Focusing on your own interests and hobbies. Get into you immediately. Seeking support from friends and family who can help you stay focused on your own needs and goals. It can also be helpful to remind yourself of the reasons why, again, you decided to leave the relationship and the benefits of doing so. List of why I left and what are the benefits. How is life going now? So if you're sitting there feeling guilty for having walked out, I hope this brings some light to some of the things that are probably going on in the sub-levels of your soul that maybe keep you feeling guilty or keep you feeling anxious. Let me pray for you. Father, I pray for every person today that feels this unwarranted guilt or that feels this anxiety that I'm talking about. And now, Father, I thank you for the healing balm of the Holy Spirit moving into their souls and putting everything back into order again. It's in the name of Jesus Christ I pray these things. Amen, 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 amen. Now look at here. Where is it at? I need you to go to Amazon and get this right now. Me, My Mind. Biblical Perspectives on Recognizing and Surviving Narcissistic Abuse. Me, My Mind. This is going to bless people all around the world. It's presently on Amazon, the audio version, the electronic version. If you're an ebook reader, if you're an Audible person, Amazon Audible, go and get Me, My Mind. Now, I need you all to blow this out of the water. I need you to blow this out of the water. And don't forget to go by my website, rcblakes.com. Sign up for my mailing list so you can be up on everything. You can get the notifications through my email group of the lives that are coming on and the links to it and all of that. Go and sign up for my mailing list. Check out all of the online programs while you are there. While you're at Amazon, check out all of my other books. Those of you that need counseling, there's a link in the description for BetterHelp Counseling. That's a relationship that Lisa and I have because I'm not a counselor, I'm not a mental health professional. But BetterHelp Counseling fills that gap in terms of what Lisa and I do. And if you need counseling, I want you to check out that link, check out BetterHelp. And if it's something that works for you, using that link will get you 10% off of the cost of their counseling. And because I've made the referral, they will make a deposit into R.C. Blake's Ministries. What else am I saying? I guess I'm done. I want to thank all of you that constantly give and support Lisa and I. We love you so much for it, and we thank God for you. We appreciate you. Well, hey, I'm out of time. I'm not out of message, but I am out of time. I want you to know that you're on top and you're going higher. God has more in store for you. So Lisa and I, we will see you at the top. And before you leave, make sure you like this message. Don't you leave out here without liking this message. God bless you. Until next time.
We here at R.C. Blake's Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. R.C. and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by R.C. Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by R.C. You may find all books written by R.C. and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at R.C. Blake's Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.